Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, today is a message that I'm giving to young Muslims wherever they are. Now, I just want to cut to the chase, we call it. That means go direct to it. No frills. As I'm traveling around the world, I'm meeting young Muslims, and intrinsically, basically, young Muslims are good. They pray. You're not drugging, you're not thugging, you're not drinking, you're not fornicating and committing adultery. You're not stealing, you're not lying, you're not conniving. You're not involved in violence, which means that basically you're good people. Well, that's great. Whoop-de-doo. But that doesn't mean success. A Mercedes with no wheels is not functional. And somebody gave you guys, you young Muslims, the idea that if you've got Islamic knowledge, you recite Qur'an, you memorize Qur'an, you memorize hadith and talk fiqh, tafsir, and you talk that Muslim, Islamic, religious dialectic, that somehow or another you're on the top of the world. You're mistaken. Words don't mean anything in the world of industry. Words are just theories. So, brothers and sisters, I'm going to give you the real picture. As I'm traveling around the world and people are talking about non-Muslims who hate Islam, I'm not talking about the Islamophobes. The Islamophobes, these are people that just like raw meat. The Islamophobes, they're just people that like raw meat. If you just throw the raw meat out there, they're just going to jump on it. They got a smell for blood. It's irrational what they say. It's inaccurate what they say. It's personal, it's subjective, and they don't even deserve too much of a response any longer because they've never come up with anything that is substantial to justify their hatred against the Islamic system. So let's set the Islamophobes aside and just talk about people in general. People in the Western world, people in North America, United States and Canada, people in Australia, non-Muslims who come in contact with Muslims. Generally, they don't hate Islam because they don't know Islam. They hate or they dislike or they're turned off from Muslims. Yes, they're just turned off from your image. Most of the Muslims, when you see them in the street in Europe, London and Birmingham and Oslo and Stockholm, and Antwerp and Amsterdam and Rotterdam and Utrecht, and when you move around and you look at these Muslims, number one, they're unprofessional in their attitude. They don't dress nice. They're loud, boisterous, obnoxious. Muslims, they don't have an intellectual conversation. They can talk about Islam, they can talk about the news, they can talk about Israel, they can talk about America, they can talk about the UK and the non-Muslims and the Kafirs who are punishing us and disrespecting us and subverting us and blah blah blah. They're crying victim. They're in the coffee houses, that's what they're talking about. They're in the shisha parlors, that's what they talk about. They talk about sports. They talk, even though they're not making no money, they're not athletes themselves. They're fans, meaning they're fanatic about sports. They're following athletes. They're on the jock of athletes. If you don't know what that means, just go ask somebody what that means, being on the jock of the athletes. They're talking about entertainers. They're talking about all kinds of different things. They're on YouTube, they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, and they're just talking about nothing. They're not talking about business. They're not talking about technology. They're not talking about science. Nothing. Just talking foolishness, subjective talk. Most of you, young Muslims, unfortunately, you might pray Fajr. You may pay 5 prayers a day. Well, whoop-de-doo. That means so what? But most of you, you're up all night. You can't get out of the bed until 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock. Whether it's Ramadan or other. That's your habits. And people know you by your habits, not by what you talk about, in the afternoon. You see, your habits. You're unable to compete. And competition, that's the highway of life. Whether you're on a bike, whether you're walking, you're on a bike, you're on a road, a highway, you're in a business or industry or agency or institution, it's about competition. Fastabiqul khairat. You got to strive to earn what you want. You can't talk your way into it. And most of the time when you get in trouble, you can't talk your way out of it. You got to change your mindset, young Muslims. Now, I'm not blaming your parents. Your parents had their life. Your parents have had their experience with their culture, with the religion and the whole thing, and they brought you to where you are in the Western world. And I'm talking mostly to the young Muslims in the Western world because you guys got everything at your doorstep. It's not like Africa. It's not like Asia. It's not like the South Pacific. It's not like the Arabian countries. In the Western world, you got everything at your doorstep. Everything is delivered to you. You got medicine, you got school, you got freedom, you got constitutional privilege. You just got everything at your doorstep. All you got to do is get up and open your door. It's right there. But you're complaining. You're complaining and you're in the Western world and everything is at your doorstep. No, because you're lazy. You're uninspired. You're unmotivated. You don't have any motivation. You don't have any get up and go. You don't have a life plan, and most of you don't even have a career plan. And those are two different things, by the way. Life plan and career plan are two different things. They complement each other, but one is general, career plan. The other one is not general, it's specific. Most of you young Muslims, you don't have either. If you're religious, you're just too religious. You're manipulated by the people that control the religious cartel. And if you don't know what the religious cartel is, well, you need to wake up and smell the coffee. They're the ones that control the narrative in most of the masjids, Islamic centers, madhabs, scholars, students of knowledge, and blah, blah, blah. The religious cartel. Those is the boys, the religious cartel, the Muslim religious cartel. Those is the boys that's in the top 10% of the ones that just met in Davos, Switzerland. From the 2,500 individuals that met there to preserve their position, to keep their money and their wealth, and to keep the rest of the people in poverty. They're the ones who control 40% of the GDP of our world today. You don't know what that means? The GDP, ask somebody. 2,500 people met in Davos in the past week to talk about controlling, keeping the control, maintaining the control on the financial reins of the world. Just 10 of those people, these 2,500 people, their total worth is like $12.7 trillion. I didn't say billion, and most of you may be listening to me, you don't even know what a trillion is. So let me tell you what it is. A trillion is 1,000 billion. Can you get your head around that? Yeah. A group of people just met. They're controlling $12.7 trillion. That's like more money or more value than 40% of humanity. And they don't pay taxes. Or if they do, the taxes they pay is negligible. Spell that word. They want to make sure they pay the least amount of taxes and they address the issue of poverty. They don't even care about poverty. They don't care who's poor, unempowered, suffering. They're the ones that create and make money from suffering. Those guys made more money during the COVID than they made at any other time in the last 50 years because they know how to exploit circumstances and situations and stupid people. That's what I'm addressing. This is what I'm talking about. You want to be part of the stupid percent and to be religious? Well, you're just going to be exploited. You'll be religious. You'll wear your gowns and your caps. You'll be worried about your beard and your pants, but you're part of the stupid subordinate slave segment of humanity. But you've been fed some kind of religious indoctrination to make yourself feel like you are important or you're better than somebody else because you learned some Arabic. Some of the worst people in the world speak Arabic. And the people that speak Arabic, who's the worst people in the world, they're controlling the scholars. Yeah, they're controlling them. They control the narrative. So if a scholar or a student of knowledge speaks about something to free the minds, to liberate the minds of the human beings, and they bring out the gold to activate, motivate people, they wind up in jail or dead because that's the policy in the Muslim world. Now, I'm not trying to bang the Muslim world, crash the Muslim world, bash the Muslim world or whatever, but you need to just wake up and smell the coffee. Muslims, young Muslims, you need to try to become industrialists, business people, intellectual people, professional people. You need to prepare yourself for the corporate world, the business world. You ain't going to make no money. You ain't going to change nothing. Like sleeping half the day and then 7 o'clock at night, sitting in some coffee houses for 2-3 hours, doing some intellectual masturbation. Sorry for that graphic. Sorry. But, sometimes the guy from Brooklyn, he just lets it go. You want to be successful? Go on YouTube and find out what do successful people do? What are the characteristics of successful people? And successful people doesn't mean religious people. I understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Qur'an, about the Jannah. The people, who's going to get the Jannah and they're going to be the successful people. I understand that, but we're talking about here and now. Who are the influential people? Who are the people that other people want to follow, want to be like, who control the products and the services? Who are they? I can guarantee you, brothers and sisters who's listening to me right now, that you and your parents, you purchase 90%, if not more, of all your products and services. You give your money away for all your products and services to non-Muslims. Then you hating on non-Muslims? And you got your hands out, waiting for what the non-Muslims give you. They give you free housing to make you a slave. They give you free medicine. They give you free education. They give you free money just to sit home. And you think somehow or another that gives you the right to sit around and talk like you have some authority, like you got some influence. And when it all boils down to what most Muslims are talking about in the masjids, outside the masjids, in the coffee houses, in the shisha shops, whatever, they're just talking about victimization. We are victims. What's happened to the Muslims in Iraq and Syria and Jordan and Palestine, and what's happening to the Muslims in Yemen, and what's happened to the Muslims in Myanmar, and what's happened to the Muslims over here, Muslims over there, and their conditions and their situations, and how the Western countries conspire against us, and how they do this and they do that, and they're malicious, and they do that, and they steal our money, and they kill our children, and they rape our women, and they do this and they do that. Okay, what else is new? You can change things if you want to. But guess what? The early bird gets the worm. I don't know if you got that. The early bird. That means the bird that gets up early looks around, gets the worm. The birds are still sleeping in the tree at 11 o'clock. You get nothing but the scraps of life. You got to get up and go get it. You in school, finish. You using your phone, use it for something other than texting and playing around and interacting and some kind of subjective foolishness, talking and blinking and spinning around and doing crazy, stupid stuff, you know, just to make yourself look like a monkey. Whoring your women. Let your woman just take her breasts open and put her behind in front of the camera and all kind of crazy, foolish things that young Muslims get involved in because devils and dogs is controlling the social media. Devils and dogs. So what you wind up following devils and dogs? Fire and SHIT. That's all you get. Sorry to be so graphic. You don't like it? Stay off of my page. I ain't asked you to come here. This is not a religious talk, but it has something to do with cleaning the filth off of the religion. Wake up and smell the coffee. Get up, take a bath, make your bed, clean your room, clean your house, do your chores. 6 o'clock in the morning so you can come to the breakfast table with your family if you can do that, because now, you know, McDonald's, Burger King, Pizza Hut, and all those kind of fast, they destroyed the kitchen table. Ain't no more breakfast table. You need to bring a breakfast table back. Learn to cook your own breakfast. They killed the dinner table too. Fast food, Chick-fil-A, this and that, and so on. So go somewhere and eat somebody else's chicken tikka or Yosemite shawarma or whatever the case might be. Nobody sits down as a family, as a group of people, and eat their own food. Hardly anyone. We got to get it out of that mode. Ask yourself, did you make your bed this morning? Did you clean your room this morning? What does your room look like? What does your closet look like? What does your kitchen look like? What does your toilet look like? What do you look like? If you can't answer those questions, guess what? Get lost. You're already lost. Anybody can come out of their house and put on a cap and a gown or a niqab or a gutra or whatever you want to call it and act like they somebody. You're a nobody in the world, in the eyes of the world. We have to be competitive. We need to be influential. We need to do business. We need to be friendly, congenial. We need to have empathy for other people. We need to give to the poor. We need to be involved in the community. We need to go out and make sure that in the zip code that we are, wherever our mosque is and wherever we live at, we have to make this commitment to the government, to the society. No homeless people in the zip code or postcode that we live in. Did any of you guys, girls, religious ones, scholars, students of knowledge, belonging to whatever persuasion you belong to, did you make that kind of commitment in the community where you live in? No, you didn't. You don't even like your neighbors. You don't even know your neighbors. We talked about that yesterday. But today, young people, you have the opportunity. The world is in your hands. The world is in your hands. At your doorstep. You got all this technology. You got these smartphones in the hands of stupid people. I hope you got that. Now, this talk is not to insult you. This talk is not, you understand me, to like degrade you. This talk is not to like criticize you, condemn you. No, this is an ice bucket challenge. So I'm throwing that ice bucket in your face, telling you wake up and smell a coffee. The world got nothing for you. You want to be a beggar? Well, guess what? Beggars have a certain demeanor. They might be intelligent. They may be religious. But the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Yadul ula khayrum min yadul sufla. The upper hand is better than the lower hand. Our Prophet ﷺ, he said, Al-mu'minu qawi khayrum min al-mu'min al-da'if. They both have some benefit, the Prophet ﷺ said. Both of them have some benefit. They both have some good in them. The strong and resourceful Muslim is better and more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Khayrun wa ahabbu ila Allah. The strong believer, the resourceful believer is better and more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the weak one. Although both of them have some benefit. Which one you want to be? So, brothers and sisters, this is my talk to you today about empowerment. Getting your act together. Stand up. Stop crying. Stop talking about being victimized. Do your prayer and leave up out of there. You don't be needing to be making a whole lot of prayers and reading a whole lot of Qur'an and sitting down cross-legged, you know what I'm saying, acting like you making some dhikr or whatever you start trying to do. No, a little bit of prayer on time. A little bit of dua, the right ones. And reading Qur'an one page or one ayah every day is good. And be up and out. Go get it. Be competitive. Be strong. Be resourceful. Be focused. Don't make excuses. Don't take no excuses. If you can't feel me, sorry. You don't like what I had to say? Sorry. Go to another page. You know, go listen to some to the YouTube warriors. You know, all the guys with the caps and the gowns and all the beautiful talks and blah, 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 who don't share no money with you and don't show you how to get to the bank or to the marketplace. Go there. As for me, I'm trying to keep it real. Real Islam, live Islam. That's what I'm trying to do. I might have it wrong, you know, because like at 75 years old, you know, the sight is not the same. The strength is not the same. Maybe even the mind is not the same. But I'm not stupid. Nobody's walking over my face. I'm not crying, complaining. I'm in the path. I'm striving by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'm trying to get it. I want to be one of those people who's not sitting waiting for nothing except the decree of my Lord. I'm up and out. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.